Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are on this Gooner planet of ours. Welcome to the Same Old Arsenal podcast post game show. I'm here tonight with two very special people. First up, to the left or right, whatever way it looks like on the screen, is my podcast brother, Mr. James Cook. How are you, darling?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. Always a good start to the week when I get to podcast with you fine people.
Ah, such a schmoozer. Listen to him. Right, and down below us is Mervyn, friend of the show, friend of all of us, and welcome back to the show. Good to have you.
Thank you for having me back. Always a pleasure.
You are so welcome. I find it really hard on a Monday night because I've worked all day. I've been discussing football because for some reason, all of a sudden, I work with Arsenal fans, which is great because that's never happened before. So we've been discussing the game. And what I want to say to you both is obviously, I'm very pleased we didn't podcast last night, James, because I was ranting. I was just ranting. I was disappointed when I left, and it's weird, isn't it? Because we didn't lose, but we'll get into that. First up, hello everybody in the chat room. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it, and everyone on audio, we don't forget you as well. So come with your questions and everything. We're going to discuss Man City. We're going to talk about Port Vale. We're going to talk about Newcastle because we won't be live before them. We're looking forward to your questions. But I think the main part of this show, as I've seen on all social media, and I have to say I agree, um, is talking about Arsenal City, the lineup. So James, you know I was away for the Forest game, so I was really up for the game yesterday at the Emirates. Beautiful sunny afternoon. I was feeling very positive, and then I saw the lineup. And you know I'm not reactionary. I'm quite a calm fan. I'm not like I won't take social media and go off my head. But I looked at Carl and I said, "Why is he starting with three DMs like this? What's going on?" You know, I I I was disappointed in the lineup straight off. Now I didn't go on social media because I knew quite a few people would have been. You two may have a different take on it. I'm not sure because we haven't spoken yet about this, but I was disappointed because we need some more bravery out there. We need some more risk, which we'll go into. We need the handbrake off. We need to stop doing this sitting back, sideways passing. David Raya had more of that ball in the first half an hour than any goalkeeper I've ever seen, and it is starting to do my head in. Now, I absolutely love Arteta. I am probably rose tinted glasses with him, but I will criticise where it's due. You know, I understand Martinelli back on the bench, not major issue for me. But when you're going to play Trossard, that is a little bit of an issue for me. But I don't want the show just to be about me. So that's my thoughts of those few minutes. So James, talk us through the lineup, and do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Do you understand what he was doing? And then we'll bring Mervyn in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for these games especially, I want to look at the lineup and be really excited. And I wasn't that when I saw the team yesterday. And I'm always happy to be proven wrong on team lineups. You know, I love it when Arteta picks a lineup that I really don't agree with, but then we see a really good performance, a really good result. You know, no problem. Prove me wrong all day long. But it kind of played out as I think pretty much 90% of us predicted yesterday going into that game. And it's just a little bit disheartening for me when you chase a player like Eze all summer. You want him starting in these games. And I was really disappointed that we just seemed to play within ourselves. I half-heartedly expected that midfield three, but the one that really surprised me was Trossard on that left-hand side. And look, Trossard's, when he's come off the bench, has been good so far this season, as he tends to normally be. But I just think he really limits us on that left-hand side when starting games, particularly when your other options are Eze, who we know who could, you know, he's just a maverick of a footballer. Then you've got Martinelli, who's got bags of pace. Okay, he's had an indifferent start to the season, but he'd still be my pick ahead of Trossard. Yeah, it was just, you know, I think if you really want to impose yourselves on teams like City, and I think with all due respect to City, we are a stronger side than them. You've got to go out there and show it. You know, there's no point signing all of these top players if you're not going to play them? You know, I kind of see where he's going with that lineup. You know, keep it tight for 60, 70 minutes. Bring on Saka, bring on Eza, bring on Martinelli, pick them off, job done. But the problem with that game plan is, and so many other people have said it, if you go 1-0 down early, it immediately becomes redundant.
That's
because
right, yeah.
you're chasing a draw rather than the victory that you're kind of preempting. So I'd rather start with our best players, our most exciting players, because I back us when we go a goal up. You know, I'd back us to see that game out against whoever it may be. And then you bring on, as Arteta calls them, the finishers. But that doesn't have to be an attacker. It could be a Christian Norgard. It could be Ben White. It could be, you know, Martinelli, but using his defensive attributes. So, yeah, frustrated with the lineup, and certainly keen to hear Mervyn's thoughts on that as well.
So, Mervyn, yesterday, the lineup, obviously, as you can see, everyone in the chat room's agreeing with us, which is very strange.
Yeah.
I think most people do agree. And it's exactly what I said. The minute they go 1-0 up, that formation is redundant because his plan wasn't to do that. And I said to the guy next to me on my seat, I said, the worst thing we can do is concede an early goal. City actually did, and it's funny because, you know, I've got a lot of City mates. What we do when we go to the Etihad is what they've done to us yesterday. And they were laughing at me going, you think the irony, Amanda, you don't see it. This is what you do to us. I said, but you're Man City at the Etihad. What do you expect us to do? We get beaten most years. Yet last year, with a completely different team, we beat them 5-1. And I'll go into Haaland in a minute. But what I want to say, Mervyn, is do you have any different take on it? I understand Arteta in a way what he wanted to do, but I don't agree with it because City, that was the worst City side I've seen. They were time wasting from minute one. I've never seen them do that. I've never seen them park a bus. I've never seen any of it. So did it throw him that they had a low block, Mervyn?
Possibly a slightly different take then from the block 132 row 8 people around me. I think when the team was announced, Trossard didn't seem as big an issue as we've mentioned it in the first few minutes. I think it was Merino that was the concern, and why weren't we starting with Moneri to actually take the game to them and impose ourselves from the start in quite a strong attacking formation and really pin them back and show them who's boss effectively. But it was a little bit of not a tepid team, but it was a bit of, you know, not, and as Mikel is doing this season, and I understand that we're overloaded now with some excellent players who are, you know, in the squad, players like Mosquera and stuff like that. Norgard we haven't even seen really yet. So I think that we are, this season, it appears to me that it's about kind of not losing. It's starting off with a very solid base. We won't be beaten, and building on that. And I'm guessing as the season progresses, we will get more and more flamboyant, more and more attack focused. So the Trossard thing, because he'd come off the bench and scored on midweek, I wasn't as bothered about, and he seems from the start not to want to start Eze and Madueke. I don't know if because they're both new. Saka obviously wasn't starting as well, so maybe he was being cautious there. Obviously, it didn't work out because we went behind fairly early when we seemed to be caught cold with you know who in oceans of space. But I don't think it was too late by then. I wasn't as annoyed about the Trossard thing. I wanted to see a more attacking midfield, but once we got into the flow of the game, it was clear that we needed something a bit more in attack.
See, the thing is, Mervyn, I get it. I don't think he expected City to play like that. I did not expect City to play like that. I understand what he was trying to do. But when he realised they weren't doing it, of course, no manager's going to change after 11 minutes, 15 minutes. And
No.
I get that. Thank God he did do something at half time. I was disappointed he take Madueke off, then find out he's slightly injured. I didn't know at the ground.
No.
But my point is this: it's becoming boring. I mean, this football we're playing, I'm not enjoying it. Now, I understand. See, it's hard because I'm I'm so pro Arteta, but there are times where I think Man City at home, they're not playing that well. My City friends are the most cockiest on the planet. All thought they were going to lose. No, honestly, they all thought it, which I've never heard before in many, many years. And I'm thinking, we're going to go for this. Trossard is a problem for me. He should have been a substitute. Martinelli again saves the day, which we'll go into shortly, and obviously wonderful at Bilbao. Journalists were questioning Arteta in his press conference. Why did you start with that three? Because I think this has been the main thing. We didn't look good. It was so slow. I literally sitting there going, what are they doing? Every minute, and I love Zubimendi, he's looking towards the back. He doesn't look forwards. He's looking back all the time. Turn and go. You know, I felt sorry for Gyökeres. So, Cooks, I'm just going to bring you in before. Let's not discuss the goal for a second. So, the first 10 minutes, are you sitting there thinking, City look average. They look average the whole game. Time wasting. They came for a point. They came not to lose. Can't believe I'm saying this about Man City, but they did. Parked a bus, and it's down to us to break them down. You can't break them down with Rice, Marino, and Zuberman. There's no creativity. I was screaming for Waneri to come on, Eze, and I thought Madueke did well, but can you understand anything that Arteta did with that lineup and the reason? Or do you think City surprised him?
I think it's a bit of both, really. I think he was maybe expecting City to be a little bit more dynamic in the way they played, but it's also very risk averse, that lineup he's got. It's the sort of lineup that going away to Anfield, I can kind of understand. I can understand it a little bit more going to Bilbao. But I go back to last season when we saw something really similar against Bournemouth away, a game in which we lost. And our starting midfield, I think, again, Ødegaard was out for that game. And it was Partey, Declan Rice and Mikel Merino. And it looked horrible then. And it feels the exact same. And I don't like that as soon as Ødegaard is out, the natural shoe-in seems to be Merino, when we've got two very creative players in Eze and Waneri who can play that role. And it's even more baffling when you go back to the Forest game, without hesitation, the Leeds game, without hesitation, Waneri is stripped, ready to come straight onto the pitch. Whereas when we're playing City, it's okay. This is a bit too much of a step up. We trust you against teams that we feel we should be, but we don't quite trust you in this game. I struggle to understand that a little bit. Okay, I get it. He's 18. It's a big step up, but you want your players that suit the system more. I just feel like Merino in that area of the pitch. I'm not saying he was bad yesterday, but it's clunky for me. It doesn't work. It's a square peg in a round hole. So yeah, I think it's too risk averse going with that lineup. To one of your points, but also I think City played as our own game, and I know you're saying they came to park the bus. I think that was pure, so intentional in the way that they played, and I think they were more than happy to say, "Look, you have the ball. We just don't think you're going to do anything with it," and that's exactly how it transpired. Particularly in that first half, we did nothing. There was one chance through Madueke, ironically put through by Mikel Merino. Other than that, did nothing from set pieces. Donnarumma won every single one. He looks great for them, by the way. I just didn't see any attacking free. Just like so many others have said, it was a wasted 45 minutes. And City took their opportunity. I'll pause on talking about the goal just for a second. But they were, ironically, City, a team that have dominated the Premier League for so long, with the players they've got at their disposal now, are so well set up to be a very good counter-attacking side if they want to be, when they've got so much pace and threat on the break with Doku, who's banging form now with Haaland, and then they've got really good technicians like Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, who can add to their midfield, when they've got Rodri, who can kind of pull the strings and be that anchor, and then you throw someone like Reinders into the mix, who's, got that nice blend of physicality and technical ability. Yeah, they're still a very, very good side, so we shouldn't be too disheartened with a point, but the opportunity was there to win, and that's what I feel most gutted about, really.
So, Mervyn, I understand what James is saying, but I actually don't think they're as good a side as James is saying, especially if Pepper's had to come and park the bus. They've paid us a lot of respect. Liverpool, I didn't have an issue with his lineup. I totally got it. Right. Liverpool was fine margins. It was a free kick, and, it is what it is. We move on. I'm still a little bit angry about last night because to me, it's 2 points lost. We could have easily won that game. Where I sit, I'm up east upper, so I get to see the whole thing. I'm not lower tier. I could see Madawaki making space about 5 or 6 times, Mervyn, and they weren't passing to him. And I didn't understand why. And I was getting myself really het up. As I said, I haven't been there since the first game of the season, and I didn't understand why. So I don't think how they're playing is conducive to winning games. I really don't. And I know we've only lost against Liverpool, but it's starting to worry me slightly that he's got to stop this passive play at the back. Why has Raya got the ball so much?
That's part of the way he wants to play. I think that he's restructured the squad to a certain extent. We've had a lot of players coming in. To some extent, some of them are covering, so that we don't have, when we have injuries and suspensions and things, we're not kind of got half a second tier team. So I think the idea was to make this a very full first team squad. And it looked like, as each signing came in, it looked, it looked like we were really doing that. Now, without making excuses, our first half a dozen games are going to include City, United, Liverpool, and Newcastle. And nobody else has got, 4 of the top, well, forget United, I suppose, but certainly 3 of the top 5 or 6 in the league in their opening salvo of games. So I think that for him, it was about coming out of that with as strong a position as we can. I'm guessing he probably expected to win yesterday, and I'm guessing he probably would have taken a draw at Liverpool. And as you say, it was fine margins. We held out well at Liverpool, and it was one of those almost goal of the season kind of free kicks. Yesterday, I think the disappointment wasn't so much going behind early; it was that it took so long for us to really build up a head of steam.
Well, I don't think it started till the second half, to be honest.
Yeah. So it took it rather than be galvanized by that. The way the team was set up, it was just like, carry on doing what you're doing. Don't concede a second. Whereas it was, and then I presume in the second half he was planning on making the switches he made. There might be a reason why he doesn't want to start Madueke and Eze. We don't know yet. I mean, I haven't seen an interview where he's been asked about that. But there might be a reason why, as they're both new and they're both quite flamboyant players who play off the cuff, that he's not ready to trust them both in the same attack yet. I don't know.
Do you think he knows? Do you think he knows where he wants? Right. So, unfortunately, on the way home, I don't drive and I get a lift. I have to listen to Talk Sport. I'd rather not, but I don't have a choice. Right. So, of course, they were trying to bait Arsenal fans to call in, saying the most ridiculous things. And there's a lot of Arsenal fans I don't agree with. There was one guy that was quite decent, but, one guy rang up and said, I don't think he knows his best 11 yet. I don't think he knows where to play Eze, Mervyn. He's not sure on his position and stuff like that. But again, like Bilbao, his substitute saved the game. So his first 11 didn't, but his substitute saved the game, and again yesterday. So let's get into the goal cooks. From where I was sitting, on my life, and I'll tell you this, before he even got the ball, Haaland, because I could see him running, I knew he's going to score. There was no defence. Gabriel's in no man's land. I don't know why Zubimendi wasn't cutting out the pass from midfield. Everyone was all over the place. Haaland gets the ball. I'm not even. He didn't even need to bother because he's going to score. There's no one there. In your eyes, I mean, I'm thinking Gabriel has a lot to answer for on this, and also Mosquera's been playing so well as well. It's a shame he wasn't there, but we can go into that later. Your thoughts on the goal?
It was just unusually panicky from us and a little bit calamitous. I mean, you really do see in those instances just how high we press up the pitch and how quickly good teams can expose you. You have to say, first and foremost, it was a really good initial move from City to start that transition. Poor from us to give it away, of course. But no one picks up Haaland. Absolutely no one picked up Haaland.
Bizarre, isn't it?
Everyone could see him bombing through, at full pace, and we're just letting him run through. And in the end, it was a really simple assist for Reinders, plays him in, and at that point, you already know what's happened. You would bet everything you own on that going in the back of the net, and unfortunately, that's what happened. And at that point, 10 minutes in, you're a goal down. City have had 5% possession, but their game plan has worked to an absolute T. And then the onus is on us to come out and play for the next 35 odd minutes. But we're not set up to play that way, which is why that first half was just such a catastrophe in my eyes.
I was praying, James, that he didn't not make those, praying that he would make the changes at half time, because obviously I was thinking 70 minutes, the general 65, 70 minutes. And I was thinking, I straight away said, I didn't know Saka was fit. So I said, I want Eze on and Waneri on. I didn't realise Saka was fit. And it was lovely to see Saka. But we've also got to look at the fact that, Mervyn, the creativity was nil and void. It became boring to the point of, Haaland. So where were you at the ground yesterday, Mervyn, or was you at home watching?
No, I was at the ground in my
Right.
seat. I'm up at tier West Stand, but
Right, so we're all
the other
so
side of the halfway line. to
you're
you.
opposite to me because I'm opposite
Yeah,
tier. As you can see, Haaland's going past us, isn't he? So
yeah,
he's
yeah,
running
yeah.
towards James because James is on the North Bank upper. I don't think any of us and anyone sitting around us and anyone in that ground was thinking he's not going to score. I literally, because we had a few seconds, didn't we? And we were watching it and we're going, well, here we go. It's in.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
1-0 up.
My exact words when he got the ball was not him,
Yeah, not him.
because
It's going to
you knew what was
happen.
going to happen.
It's
Yeah,
in. I didn't even get irate when it went in the back of the net because we just know. You got
yeah.
Gabriel having a go at everyone, and I'm thinking, yeah, you need to look at yourself here. And it's tough because, and then the crowd were very, very flat. I don't care what anyone says. They sung the first few minutes, and then it was dead the whole first half. Then when they scored, they tried to get behind the team, but the team weren't giving anything back. The second half was completely different. Obviously, it was a lot more atmospheric. It was great. But I actually don't think City fans, James, expected them to score. Honestly, I've never seen a City like it. We probably will never see it again. But Haaland puts them 1-0 up. You're looking at our formation. You're going, oh my God, we are sucked of any creativity here. Who's going to create from this midfield? I just don't get it. And you're looking at the bench and you're going, the bench is just top class, you know. So second half comes and I am pleased that obviously as it was Eze and Saka came on. I get confused at what times people came on. And all big up to Leandro Trossard. I never go against our players, but he is a super sub. I don't want him to start. I'm happy if he wants to play at Port Vale on Wednesday evening, but I do feel that he's not good enough. And Martinelli is a little bit on fire at the moment, Cooks, and scored a beautiful goal at Bilbao in 36 seconds. And then he goes and does that. And that was one hell of a, how do you even, like a lob on the back side of his foot. I mean, it was just incredible. And who was the pass from, James?
Eze, of course.
Exactly. The creativity that we've been screaming about. It's like he's got the handbrake on. And I've seen a lot of people say this. It's like Arteta, not Eze, Arteta's got the handbrake on. He's got the players. He needs to trust them. He so desperately wants to win something this year, James. I think it could hinder us.
Yeah, it's a worry. I mean, there's like I said earlier, there's no point signing all these players if you're not gonna if you're not going to play him. I do think people are maybe overlooking some of the injuries we've got, and I know the squad is relatively healthy, but if Ødegaard was fit, we probably wouldn't be talking about this as much, because naturally he would be starting this game, and we know how much he loves Ødegaard, and suddenly we're not talking about Mikel Merino playing in midfield. And fingers crossed he's back for the game against Newcastle, and this is something that we never ever have to talk about or see again. But then you also throw into the mix the Havertz injury, and I'm more than confident that if he was fit, he'd have started this game, and I'm pretty sure he'd have started at Anfield as well in place of Gyökeres, or even in that Merino role. He could be the guy that plays that little bit deeper as kind of a second forward, someone that's supporting Victor Gyökeres. So they're big misses, those guys, big misses. And I admired what Arteta did in that second half in terms of bringing on Eze at half-time, kind of forced into the substitution by bringing on Bukayo Saka in place of Madueke through injury, which is a shame, because I thought Madueke was really good again in that first half. If anything was going to happen, it would be through him. And then he just went hell for leather and kind of brought on Martinelli, Ethan Nwaneri, and when City took off Haaland, he was just like, okay, thank you very much. We're now going to take that as an invitation to just throw everything we've got. Because as soon as he went off, there was no threat about City at all, really. I didn't really fancy Doku or Savinho when he came on to do anything kind of absolutely sensational. Because, with Haaland, it just needs one chance. Whereas with Doku, you feel like you could give him 2 or 3 and they're still not guaranteed to go in. So I suppose I was still a little bit concerned at how little we created still. I know, obviously, we've got the point, we've scored, but even with all those players on the pitch, we still look bereft of ideas. I mean, how many times did we get it to the edge of their box and end up with the ball back at David Raya? It felt like that continuous loop was occurring. So I still think there are relationships that are forming in this team. I still think we struggle against low blocks. I think it's really tough on someone like Gyökeres, who's coming into the side and hasn't really had a bedding in period. He's just thrown right into the midst of it. So, yeah. I hope that we get around this problem soon. Creativity is still a problem for us, but I think it's something we can solve. I just hope Arteta's a little bit more open to experiment and just being a little bit more expressive in his lineups, I would say. Yeah, a little bit more risky.
I think he needs to trust his players a little bit more, because Mervyn, we've got a brilliant squad. I even forgot when he's speaking about Ødegaard, but I forgot about Havertz, because now he has got strength in depth. We have got exciting players. We can swap, Mascara for Saliba. We can swap Eze. You can put Madueke, you've got Nwaneri, and Max Dowman obviously is coming on for a few minutes. You may even see him a little bit more against Port Vale, and who knows? So it is. You can't sit here and say, "Oh, injury after injury." Saka's back, and to be fair, it wasn't devastating, was it? Now, a year ago, we would have been crying if Saka was out. So we've got the players. He's bought well, absolutely. He's bought well. But I'm just having a problem watching us, and when you listen to rival fans that are proper fans, not idiots, and they're saying he's got to take that risk. He's not confident in his players, and it's becoming a little bit like it needs the handbrake. I say it again. He's got to trust them, Mervyn.
He has. I 100% agree with your old man in the comments. I think he's got it right. Sacrificing creativity for control.
Oh, hold on. I've starred a lot of stuff. Let me have a look where that is.
I've got that right. Carl is your husband, isn't he? Yeah. Okay. I did get that right.
He said, "Have we sacrificed? Have we sacrificed creativity for control?" So you might as well discuss that question. I started that one.
That's what I think. I think that we've had the squad structured so that we can control games, and we kind of controlled the game at Anfield, and it was one of those, had that free kick, 9 times out of 10 gone over or whatever. Then everybody would have said, what a great performance to go to Anfield and hold them like that. They barely had a chance, and all the money they've spent on Wirtz and everybody. So I think that there is that about it. I think he wants to control games. And it, you know, when it's against like Leeds, the first home game of the season and stuff, and Forest, they can be a bit more flowing. But I think those big games, I doubt we're going to see anything different next Sunday. Those big games, I think he wants to control the way the game goes and to take that chance or two. And that's why with Madueke, with Eze, we've got players who can just, and Martinelli, we've got players who can just take that chance, that key chance at the right time. And who can stretch. I mean, Eze can stretch defences. Madueke obviously can stretch defences from what we've seen so far. And in fact, when we signed him, I spoke to one of my Chelsea mates and said, look, loved watching him. You know, we've sold him because he's pure profit. And they've got other areas to spend on. But I think it's there, and I think it is probably going to be one of those seasons where at the end of it, we're going to kick ourselves. It was that first 10 games or so where he hadn't really got the structure right. He hadn't got the partnerships across the pitch right. Where we were unfortunate to have to play 4 of the top 6 teams, you know, in that phase. But at the moment, I still don't see why we won't win the league this season. So I mean, it's kind of it's annoying and it's a bit of a setback. But I think I'm feeling very positive about the first team squad.
Yeah, and you know, I've had a moan. It's half an hour of questioning and moaning and stuff.
Yeah.
But there is also the reactionary sides of it all. You know, if we lose a game, it's Arteta out. If we draw a game, has he taken us as far as he can? If we win a game, we win the quadruple. You know, you and I, Mervyn, are a little bit older than James, and we've seen that over the years. It's very different with social media as well. You do have to understand that we didn't have that in the 80s and the 90s, and we just went, okay, you know, didn't like the formation, didn't like this, moaned in the back of the car. You might have been in the pub, you go home, you talk to your mates. It's not all this stuff online. Sky wasn't around at the beginning, you know, in the 80s, and everything is so dissected. You know, I've got people, you know, other YouTubers going, nah, that's it, I want Arteta out, and we're second in the league, you know, and we've got a wonderful squad. It's September. People need to understand that, and we have got a couple of injuries. Again, Madueke, God knows how long. I just feel like we're cursed. But Mervyn, I just think the reactions are ridiculous.
Well, of course they are, but we are in the age of instant reaction. We are in the social media era of everybody's an expert, everybody has an opinion. And everybody's opinion is more important than everybody else's. So we will. And like you, in fact, I'm a bit older than you, so I can go through the 70s, not so much the early 70s where we did actually win things, but the mid 70s, where we went from kind of, you know, challenging for the league 2-3 seasons running and for the cups to kind of a defeat at the other lot in, I think it was 1974, put us actually bottom of the league for a week. It's the only week of my life that we've been bottom of the first division. Before your time, Amanda and James.
Well, I was 6.
Yeah.
It was a bit. Mine was more late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah. So I mean,
can you imagine it then? I mean, we were so bad early 80s. Anyway, sorry, Mervyn, go on.
Yeah, no. It's kind of you know, I wouldn't say we've had the bad times because obviously we've never been relegated and stuff. But the you know, there've been seasons, even, you know, towards the end of George Graham. I mean, it suddenly bucked up again with those cups. But there was, you know, what you know, Anfield was fantastic, but we were beginning to lose our way after that. So it's kind of we've never had really bad times. We've had ups and maybe some downs and some disappointments, clearly. But I think that, you know, we're what, 5-6 games into a season. We've just done major surgery, if you like, to the squad. I don't think anybody, you know, said we haven't seen Norgard yet, but I mean, I've seen him play at Brentford, and you know, he's a strong character. All the players we've signed are good players, exciting players in the case of Eze, Madueke. And I think, you know, we've got players like Waneri coming through. I mean, Miles Skelly, can't even get a game at the moment. Calafiori's on fire. So it's a great squad, and it's early in the season, and it's a shame to drop points at home to one of our main rivals and have lost to obviously our main rival. But there's a long way to go, and they can't keep. Liverpool can't keep squeaking these one-goal victories.
Honestly. But that's how you win.
Did you see the stat that whenever they haven't been ahead going into the 90th minute, there's been 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes of injury time. And on Saturday, when they were 1-up, there was 3 minutes of injury time.
Yeah, I know. I was talking to my Everton friend about this, but I think Fiona's got it right. Arsenal fans just totally overact on social media.
Yeah.
I think a lot, and I'm not saying all of them, but a lot like to do it to get likes and clicks and, people screaming down cameras and stuff like that. Look, at the end of the day, we just, we want our team to win. We didn't set up I don't think we set up in the right way yesterday to achieve that. I understand the control part. He's not going to have that control at Newcastle. They're going to go for it, Newcastle. Those fans will be so up for it on Sunday afternoon. You won't hardly hear our fans because they sit in the sky up there. And it's just, I want him to go for it. I really want him to unleash. And I want us to score first. I want us to do that. Cooks, you were there against Forest. I've only seen the goals. I've not seen the game. Of course, it's a different side. I totally understand that. And the fact that Liverpool and City have paid so much respect to us in the way they've played against us. People are fearing us. But can we do it from within? Is he gonna set? What's he gonna? Oh, look, we've got Port Vale. We'll talk about that in a sec. But Newcastle, how's he gonna set us up with the same team?
I hope not. I really don't want to see that midfield free again. I think what he's got to realise is you've got the best defence in probably arguably world football. That back line of Calafiori or Lewis Skelly, Gabriel, Saliba, even Mosquera now, and either Urian Timber or Ben White, whatever way you decide to shape them up, that's a really, really good backline. They're so well coached. They know the system inside out now. And then in front of them, you've got Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi. You don't need to add Mikel Merino into the mix as well. You can play Ethan Nwaneri. You can play Martin Odegaard. You can play Eberechi Eze. So I hope he does that against Newcastle. I don't want to see that midfield free again. My big hope is that Odegaard's back, like I said before, and we don't really have to talk about this. I wanted to get a full week of training under his belt. We're led to believe he wasn't far away from being in the squads yesterday. So touch wood, he could be back for next Sunday. And if he comes back into the team, suddenly things should look a lot better. And we're not having this debate. But that's obviously hypothetical. But I would love to see a team with Eze in it, with Odegaard in it, with Saka on the right-hand side. Just think what that could create for Victor Gyökeres up top. And then away from home, it's a no-brainer for me. It's Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi. But I saw someone put it in the chat as well. At home against, say, a Burnley or a West Ham or whoever it may be that we would expect to win against at home, why not just play one of Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi and then throw in two more attacking-minded players up in front of them? Play Eze and Odegaard almost as dual 8s or dual 10s. And then have Martinelli on the left, have Saka on the right, Gyökeres, Havertz up top, whatever one you want to go with. I think the frustrating thing for any Arsenal fan is that we all know we've got such attacking players. We've got such good players at our disposal. And when you wait so long to sign an Eze in the summer, you want to see him. And to see him on the bench is just frustrating. And should caveat this by saying, it's no disrespect to Mikel Merino. I think we all know what he can add to this team. Yeah. It's just a case of you don't need him in that system. How we used him against Forest, perfect. Absolutely perfect. But he doesn't need to be part of a midfield three that, already includes two very physical players in Martin Zubimendi and Declan Rice. Just doesn't need to. So he's got to be more expressive. And that's why I wanted to take into Newcastle.
I think, Mervyn, he's going to play the same three against Newcastle. Port Vale's a different matter. I think we're going to see a lot of different players, fringe players as well. Trossard probably start. And I think we'll have the big boys on the bench, I suppose, if we need it. Hope we don't. But I do personally think he's going to do that against Newcastle.
Well, he could be stubborn. He could say, look, this is the way that I want to play, and you'll be cheering me at the end of the season. But for now, you're going to have to put up with it. I don't know, is the short answer. I think some of it will depend on how near a fitness players are. I think, given that we were so flat and he had to make that change in the middle, I'd be surprised if he does it again. But other than the fact that he's going to want to hold the game, make it a tight game, and that's why he will. Yeah, he's invested in flair, in Madueke and Eze, kind of on the wings, although Eze can obviously play as the 10, as he came on yesterday. We'll have Saka fit, so it might well be he thinks that he has the Yes, if Martin Odegaard is fit, then I don't think we have the discussion. Having said that, he's been out for 2 or 3 weeks, so it might be he starts with Merino in the middle and then brings Martin Odegaard on second half. We don't know, but I think he probably won't change it that much, because I think this is how he has structured these first 6-7 games in his head. Because we're playing strong teams, and he doesn't want to cede control. He doesn't want us to be overrun. He wants us to win as much as we can and not be overwhelmed. And so I think that Port Vale will be different. And quite frankly, I gave up caring about the League Cup years ago. Once we'd won it 2 or 3 times, it was kind of like, I remember the seasons when it was all we had was maybe we can win the League Cup this season. So I think that I wouldn't expect to see anything different. Possibly set up the same way as against Liverpool.
I just have a feeling on Sunday afternoon that we're going to be going, oh, geez. It's going to be side to side passing, midfield back to Garea, and just to control the game, Cooks. Okay, so let's just talk about the nice thing that happened yesterday. So let's talk about that beautiful goal, because that was a beautiful goal. Now, I was saying to my friend that your time wasting is going to cost you, because this referee is going to. I actually predicted 8 minutes. He gave us 7. And did we score the 93rd or 94th minute? 93rd. I mean, that's down your end and my end. It was just sublime, wasn't it?
Yeah, I didn't see it coming, to be honest with you. I really thought we'd run out of ideas. And I was just waiting for the full, not waiting for the full-time whistle, but you know what I mean? I just didn't feel like we had it in us to get over the line. So when that happened, it almost didn't feel real that the ball actually hit the back of the net, because it literally came out of nothing. Just a brilliant inside to out run from Martinelli, and brilliant ball from Emirates. I keep switching between Eze and Eze. I'm never sure what one to say. Naturally, I want to say Eze, but I think he wants it to be Eze. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with Eze. Naturally comes to me. Sorry, Emirates, if that's wrong. But yeah, it was a great goal. I over the moon for Martinelli, I have to say. After what he did on Wednesday night in Bilbao and earlier on this season, he looks so bereft of confidence, and I didn't see him getting a goal contribution at all for a long, long time. And he's got 3 in the space of 45 minutes, basically. So buzzing for him. Obviously, I would start him on Wednesday night against Port Vale up top. I'd start him as a striker. I think this is a perfect opportunity for him to lead the line, to make those runs. I think he's quite a similar profile to Gyökeres, so that should hopefully lend itself to working for us. And he's got bags of pace, and he's full of confidence now. So start him against Port Vale. If he gets another goal, start him against Newcastle on the left-hand side. Again, Gyökeres up top. So yeah, and that's not easy to do that lob. Like his goal against Bilbao, that was a really tough goal to score. So he scored 2 really top class goals. To do that against one of the best goalkeepers in the world, Donnarumma, who's massive, like absolutely
It's like
dwarfs
giant,
Martinelli.
isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, sublime, absolutely sublime finish. And then I've seen all this discourse, everyone, like you talked about earlier, goes crazy on social media. And I've seen opposition fans, and I'm taking the bait here quite obviously, but I've seen rival fans saying that Arsenal celebrating a 1-1 draw. Look, if you can't celebrate goals like that, what's the point? It's what we all go to football for, right? It's a great goal. Really happy for Martinelli. Good goal against a good team. Losers mentality. Call it whatever you want. But if we'd have run back with the ball, like so many people were insinuating we should have done, there was a VAR check anyway. So no, it makes absolutely no odds. Look, I would have liked us to have won. I'm disappointed. I feel like it's a missed opportunity. I feel like we have to go to Newcastle and win now, to be quite honest with you. I think we dropped points there. That's not good. But if we get Newcastle out of the way and we're still 5 points behind Liverpool at this stage in the season, doesn't really count for much. And then you look at our next 6 games, we should win every single one, in my opinion. If you've got title credentials, you win every single one of those going up to Chelsea away. And you can give yourself a bit of breathing space going to Stamford Bridge. But even there, I think we've got to win. So I'm saying get Newcastle out of the way, get a scrappy win there. I don't care if we're battered all game and if we scored, 95th minute header that goes in off the back of Dan Burn. Don't care. Get 3 points in any way, shape or possible. And then win your next 6. And that's the big task we've got here.
But you've also got Champions League mixed into that as
We've
well.
got the squad for it.
I know, but we've got to turn these draws into wins, Mervyn. We really have. And I think that it's such a beautiful goal that I'm very torn on Martinelli, because I think he's proving doubters wrong. A lot of people at the beginning of the season doubted him. Sometimes he runs with his head down. He's got no end product sort of thing. But look at these 2 goals this week.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I'll put my hands up and say, I was also thinking that maybe it was time to let him go, but that's because I thought that they, having signed Madueke, they wouldn't be able to sign Eze unless they released another forward. But they obviously had different plans for that. So in that case, I would probably have said that he's the one to be sacrificed. But
is it a bad thing, though, Mervyn? Sorry, just to interrupt you. Is it a bad thing, though, if he's coming off the bench and scoring goals because he's hungry?
No, not at all.
I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him to start on the bench. In that respect, if we can put Eze or, I don't know what's going on with Madueke, probably injured, but it's not a bad thing that he's that hungry, because twice off the bench, twice saved us. You can't.
Yeah.
Can't say anything less than that. Right, it's very remiss of me because last week we didn't have time for questions when I was on. So let's go to some of them. Karen Russell, do you think we should have started Mosquera instead of Saliba? Mervyn, I'll come to you first.
Interesting.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
we were talking about that in the seats before the game, where I sit. Are they rushing him back? And my thought was, well, you want Saliba there. It's kind of, if he's fit, Mosquera looks a tremendous prospect, but City, Haaland, if Saliba is fit, he knows what to expect. He knows what's going to happen. So I personally thought Saliba should have started yesterday. Of course, I didn't know if he was fully match fit or not. None of us did, but I doubt Mikel would have had him in the squad ready to pick if there was a doubt.
I mean, I'm with you. I think, we can all sit here and go, Mosquera should have played, but I don't think anyone thought that, did they, James? No. We all would have gone with Saliba, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. Saliba has been back in and amongst the squad for about, over a week now. He knows how to play against Erling Haaland. Mosquera's fantastic. He's played a lot of football already this season. He'll play again on Wednesday. I have no doubts about that. But you want your best players for this game, and Saliba is one of the best centre-halves in the world. So, yeah, he starts without doubt for me.
Absolutely. Okay. Karen Russell, When Silva threw the ball at Trossard, do you think he should have got a second yellow and off the pitch? Well, yes, I do. But he was never going to do it, was he, Mervyn? He was never going to do that.
No, it was. I was told the guy who sits behind me is a part-time referee, and said that Stuart Atwell is his first game of the season. And there are reasons why it's his first game of the season. It was general view was that it was probably as a game possibly a bit above him. To have kind of two, like if you like the top four or five in a crucial game. Now I'm not saying anything. If Mr. Atwell is listening to this, I'm not casting aspersions on you. I thought that you could well have shown a few more cards yesterday.
Yeah, he should have. That goalkeeper time wasting. I mean, look, we know Raya does it. I don't like it when Raya does it. Raya gets the yellow card much sooner. But it just seems that other teams get away with stuff, to be honest. Okay, so another question from Kevin, because this will line in nicely the fact that we've got to talk about Port Vale. With the improved squad, will Arteta take the domestic cups more seriously, James?
Well, he's got no excuse not to, really, because if he doesn't, there's going to be a lot of players who aren't going to be happy, because we've got fringe players who are good enough to walk into most Premier League starting 11s. The sort of team you want to see on Wednesday night: Kepa in goal, Lewis Skelly, Hincapié if he's back fit, Mosquera, Ben White. I mean, that's a very, very good back four in itself. And then you could play a midfield three of Norgard, Marino, Wanyeri if you wanted to do something like that. And you've even got players like Josh Nichols, who I think a lot of people want to see. And you've still got Salmon that we saw in pre-season. I don't think he'll get a look in, but, he's a player that Arteta clearly rates. And it's another chance for Max Dowman. So, yeah, really exciting options. Martinelli through the middle, as I say. And, we should be going deep in these competitions. There's no excuse not to.
Okay, so that lines up nicely with Phil saying, will Kepa play Wednesday, Mervyn? Do you think he will?
I suspect so. Yes. I mean, again, there's if you're signing a number two keeper who is used to, has been a number one, and is still obviously a good player, then you've got to give him, the training's no good. You've got to give him match time. And I think it's fairly standard now, particularly with the League Cup, that you tend to play your number two keeper and your number two centre half and things like that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what else we've got. Interesting. Karen again. Do you think Martinelli will be a contender for goal of the season? I mean, Sunday's goal was beautiful, but it is only September, James, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that Zubamendi one against Forest wasn't bad either. So we might have a few that are in contention for that.
No, I totally get that. Okay, so let's discuss Port Vale. Let's get some predictions. And I've got a couple more questions. So I'm going to ask you for your predictions for Port Vale and for Newcastle. Okay. Mervyn, Port Vale.
Port Vale, I think we will win 3-1.
Okay.
That's before I have any inkling of what team he's putting out.
Right, James.
I'm going to go similarly to Merv, but I'm going to go 3-0. I think we'll keep a clean sheet.
Okay, and I've gone 2-0. Just by the way, just go back to our predictions, James, for Forest. Chris said 2-0, you said 4-0, and I said 3-1. So we weren't all far off there, were we?
No,
we all were a bit more positive. We didn't actually, I don't remember, well, I don't know, because I wasn't on the show if you predicted for City. Newcastle, let's discuss, Mervyn.
Newcastle, I think we will win 1-0.
Right, one sec. I just want to get the chat room's stuff up. Everyone's thinking we're going to win against Port Vale. Martin says 4-0. Phil says 4-0. Everyone's feeling confident. Karen says Port Vale 0, Arsenal 4, Newcastle 1, Arsenal 2. Let's go on to Newcastle now then. Right, Mervyn. Sorry, Newcastle away.
1-0 to us.
Okay.
I think it'll be a tight game. I think it'll be a lot like the Liverpool game, a lot like periods of yesterday's game. But I think that I think we will have enough for them.
Well, they haven't got Isaac anymore, have they? So that's
No.
good. Phil Mack has gone 2-0 at St James's. Feeling positive, Cooks?
No, but I'll be positive for the sake of this. I'd be inclined to agree with Merv, but for the sake of being different, I'm going to go 2-0. I think we'll get one early, keep it tight, and then we'll get one late on, catch them on the break. So yeah, 2-0 Arsenal at St James's.
Okay. I'm thinking a draw, but I'm not going to put it out there. So I'm going to go 2-1 to us. Okay. Because a draw is not good enough. So let's not go down that road.
I think it'll be a horrible game, whatever happens. I don't think we'll be sitting there comfortably, having a cup of tea at any point. I think we're going to be on the edge of our sofas, very, very stressed watching it.
Blimey, if Carl's gone for a draw, that's not good. He's normally Mr. Positive. We'll have to wait and see on Sunday. Okay, so the one question that I wanted to get to towards the end has come from Carl. He said, has Arteta reached his ceiling based on a 6 years worth of data? Is he capable of winning a major trophy? Let's go for you, Mervyn, with that one.
I thought you were going to ask me first. I am an Arteta believer. I love him. I think he's a great manager. I think he's very passionate about the club, and I think he's very passionate to bring success. He's played here. He knows what the fans are like. So has he reached his ceiling? Maybe. We don't know yet. He could be one of those. If we're still around in 20 years' time or 15 years' time, we could be talking about who knew that with everything Arsene Wenger did, who knew that Mikel Arteta was going to win so much more. I think he's got the ability to do it, and I think he's got the passion to do it. And I think he really believes in this club. So I believe, yes, we will win. I believe we will win the league under Arteta. And I think we will at some stage, but not the same season, win the Champions League under Arteta.
Everyone in the chat room, what do you think? And I'll put your comments up before after I go to James. John G is saying, think he can, just got to let the handbrake off, which is, I think this needs to be called the handbrake off show. Cooks, what's your view on what Carl asked?
Yeah, I'm definitely not giving up on Arteta. I think it's crazy that we're even talking about that, to be honest with you. I do get why people feel frustrated with him at times. He is quite stubborn. He doesn't like criticism. You can quite clearly tell that in his press conferences. He was a little bit spicy when they asked him about the midfield three. He's kind of got that little bit of arrogance about him, but he also, does some really beautiful things that I really, really love about him. And I truly believe he's united this football club. He's completely shifted the culture from what it was. I mean, we were in such a bad place when he took over. And okay, it's 6 years, but at the same time, the overhaul job he's had to do is extraordinary. To go from, Pablo Mari, ironically one of his signings, Rob Holding, Kolasinac, the whole fallout with Ozil, Aubameyang, and starting with Socrates and players like that, and then ending up with the squad we've got now, where we've got basically 2 elite options in every single position. I mean, he's got the options at his disposal to do something. I expect us to go all the way on all fronts this season. I don't think there's any excuse not to. So I fully back him. I don't think it's as cut and dry as there's no excuses. He has to win this season. I think we could still have a very good season, but Liverpool could have a equally good season or better one and pip us to the title. That's how football goes. But I still think this club is heading in the right direction, and we've just got to have a bit of patience, and we'll get there.
I mean, everyone in the chat room's like, Fiona, I'm not giving up. And I totally understand. The only reason we've asked that question is to end the show with it, because it is something that people discuss. I don't think Chris would think any different to you or I, James or Mervyn. What I will say is I watched the interview with Ali McCoist when he interviewed him for about 20 minutes on TNT. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it on YouTube. It's absolutely brilliant. And I don't know if Arteta's stubborn. I don't know, because obviously I I'm not there. I like his slight little bit of arrogance. I like the way he protects his players. I love that. I'm nowhere near finished with Arteta. I think he's going to do it. I just think he needs to understand that slightly. Let him be a little bit more braver with the team selection. Let them play. They're very capable. We've got a brilliant squad. It proved it that City had to park the bus yesterday. Could you ever believe we were even saying this, that City had to park the bus? I was so shocked with what I was watching. I remember messaging my City mate going, what the hell am I watching here with you lot? So I feel like it's been quite a cathartic show, boys. I feel like I'm not so disappointed anymore. I'm not so ranty like I was a little bit at work today when we were discussing it. I think is frustrated because it was there for the winning. I think, and that's a great thing, great position to be in, that we weren't disappointed, that we were, we just weren't at the races. It's just let the boys go and trust them, because I think we all trust them, and I do believe he's going to win us the league. Let's see how it all pans out. Please God, we're right. So I'd like to thank everybody in the chat room for your comments and being with us on this Monday evening. And I'd like to thank everyone on audio too. If you could press like, subscribe, press the bell, go and follow us on all social media. We've got a massive account on TikTok that none of us run, but someone else does. So go and have a look there. Mervyn, you want to come in?
Yeah. I just had some flash thing that Victor Yorkeris has won some award tonight.
Oh, is it the
It's
Ballon
gone.
d'Or or something?
The Gerd Muller Award.
Oh,
Yes.
It's not Ballon d'Or. I've got it all wrong anyway.
No, Best Striker Award.
Oh, right. Okay. Because I think
just
that
flashed up as a...
he just needs a bit of service. He will
Yes,
score.
yes.
Give him the ball,
Yeah.
feed the goat, and he will score. That's what we used to say. So just going back to thanking everybody, appreciate it that you're still with us after all these years, and it's fantastic. I'd also like to wish all our Jewish followers Happy New Year tonight, Shana Tova, and Gejontov to you all. And as I always say, get behind the boys. Let's do this. Let's beat Port Vale. Let's beat Newcastle, and let's get back to having a winning podcast. So from all of us to all of you, enjoy Monday evening. Happy New Year to those that are celebrating tonight and tomorrow. And James, always Arsenal. Good night, everyone.